Welcome everyone to another episode of Masters of Marketing. Today we're going to talk to an email conversation copywriter who's behind winning campaigns at Doodle, Shopify Plus, Social Sprout, and more. She's going to be teaching us how to get results by taking the best practices by breaking the best practices of email campaigns to get results that are not flat, to get people to push buttons, to move the needle. Let's give a warm welcome to Nikki Elbaz. Nikki, it's great to have you.
Thank you for having me. By the way, saying breaking best practices is like impossible. And I'm like, I should have came up with a different term.
Well, we're going to do it. So you can either possible or you have the next 10 minutes to prove how we're going to make a small chink in that.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
Actually, one second. I'm going to get these guys. Okay, cool. Okay, so best practices are killing your email marketing results. Now, I'm actually really scared to do this presentation. And when I was planning it out, I was like, I don't know, this is like too big a deal. Like, you don't break best practices. You don't tell people to break best practices. People don't believe you. Is anyone going to even show up to this thing? Like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm going to fluff it down. I'm going to I'm going to make it really fluffy. And
Say things that people will disagree with. Say things that are, just I'm setting this in stone. And we will ask questions. The people will ask questions. It'll be awesome.
Awesome. So as I was thinking this, I was like, this is the whole point. Like, this is exactly what I'm trying to teach, is that you should feel uncomfortable. I mean, not that you should feel uncomfortable, but you need to push through that uncomfortable feeling. And it's okay if things are risky, and ask questions and engage and it's okay, and it's a good thing. So I'm like, I'm gonna push through this, and I'm not gonna fluff it down, and we're gonna do it, and it's gonna be awesome. The real reason why I'm like, okay, we're just gonna push through it, it has to be awesome, is because I have seen how amazing it has been for so many companies, really cool companies, how when you take things and do things a little differently, and you take risks, and you break the best practices, the results are amazing. The results for the company at large, the results for the customers, it's just incredible and amazing. So email is a platform that is so easy for companies to do. If you have an ESP, it doesn't matter if you're using MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or Klaviyo or whatever. If you're using something, you can be testing. You can be taking risks. It's so easy to set up tests and to start measuring them and to just have fun and try different things. So it doesn't have to be these big brands that are inaccessible. I want everyone to be doing this. So that was reason number one. Reason number two is, in these uncertain times, I think it is really important now, because we have seen for ourselves how horrible it is to get emails that sound exactly like everyone else. There is it's become this meme, right? These uncertain times. Everyone's making fun of these emails. Everyone is mad at the companies for sending these emails. People are frustrated. And I saw this really cool quote. He said, it's as if the majority of brands have purchased a library of templates off eBay or something, and then just stamped their logo on the corner. And I was like, yeah, that's an awesome quote. So people are frustrated when they see the same thing. If they even notice, first of all, they start just tuning out. You blend in, they're not noticing, they're not opening, and that's really bad for your rates, right? And then if they do notice, it's this lack of authenticity and this anger towards the company. You're not telling me anything new. You're not being real or authentic. I don't want this. Goodbye. So it's so important now to be standing out and to be authentic. Now, the thing is that you can stand out in a bad way, right? Typos stand out. So we want to make sure that we're breaking the rules in a way that is good, right? And in a way also that if you don't even know the best practices yet, and you're kind of are you sure I should be breaking them? Don't you have to know the rules before you break them? When you do them smart, you are embracing them while you break them, instead of just let's go crazy, let's do anything nutty, right? Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is show you an email that I wrote that was kind of risky. It's an email that was in a sequence that got a 64% increase in paid conversions, which is crazy and amazing. The unsubscribe rate, I don't remember it. I was supposed to look it up beforehand, but it was like through the roof, And that sounds like a bad thing, right? But it came along with this uplift in conversions. So yeah, it's risky, it's crazy, it's uncomfortable to see an unsubscribe rate that high, but it comes with this other side of like, wow, you make amazing difference when you push through and break these things. Okay, so here's the email.
Nikki, quick question on that. Now, was this a warm list or is this a cold list? Is this a cold sequence? Is this from like a particular persona or subscriber base, or is this something kind of completely fresh?
This was a free account to trial sequence. So, you know, they hopefully were using the software a little bit, but yeah, not super familiar. This was like the 5th email, I think, in. So yeah. Okay, so first of all, by the way, the email came from, the sender name was Time. It wasn't a person, it was Time, okay? And it goes like this: it's Time here, and I'm miffed. That's the subject line. It's Time here, only your most valuable asset ever, and we need to talk. That last meeting you scheduled, you did it through your calendar, and then Bree declined, so you had to send out another option, which didn't work for Ed. So you decided to send a WhatsApp, which then had your phone pinging like a car alarm on steroids. I'm wasting away while you're high on the dopamine hits those notifications send your way, and the motions of busyness that only feel like accomplishment. You could have worked on that neglected industry report, interviewed a candidate from that ever-patient pile of resumes, briefed Anne on the new policy changes, but you scheduled a meeting for hours. Slow clap. I'm sorry if I sound bitter. I know you care about me. You did set up a doodle meeting after all, but you didn't send it out, so where's the use in that? Can you send out that meeting invite, please? I'll reward you with a full 8 hours. Imagine, you could grab coffee with a mentor, plan a team building event, eat lunch sitting down, send out my invite. I knew you'd pull through. Time. Okay, so, whoops. We're gonna run through like how we got to this and what we did to keep it safe as we were being risky. Okay, so the first thing is that you need a theory. You need to base it on something. You can't just be like, oh, let's go and do this because I saw and I think it will work, and you need to have it be scientific tests and theory. Like when you're testing something, you need to test it scientifically, right? So you want to start with what is being done. And this is like, if you're optimizing a sequence, then start with what your control is, what you were doing and what you're trying to change. Or even like just looking at your inbox and your customer's inbox and seeing like, what are they seeing in their inbox? What is usually happening in their inbox? And then the first good test to do is just to go and do the exact opposite. So in this case, the control, in Doodle's case, the control was very direct, very clear, and very action driven. It was like, da, 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 CTA, go. So that's why the email was very long and very like storytelling and narrative and very human, because we were going for the exact opposite of what it was before. The second thing is, if you notice, it was kind of a bit of a negative email, right? And that's kind of risky, right? But we saw in the surveys and in the interviews and all of the stuff that informed the theory that there was so much negativity, there was so much stress around scheduling emails, around, like scheduling meetings, all this stuff. It was just like intense. So it wasn't crazy to present things as negative because they were already feeling this negativity. Okay, the next thing is that you need an idea, right? So to get ideas, it's funny, I'm telling you, like, don't do what other people are doing, but you actually do want to inform what you're doing by what other people are doing. So I saw this post yesterday and I thought it was so brilliant and awesome. It's from Ross Simmons, and he said, stealing is only bad when it's a complete ripoff, or at least that's the perception in the West. We have to acknowledge that all innovation is a remix of what came before it. This is true and blah, 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 blah. It's how we improve. Take from those who came before us and turn it into our own. And I was like, yes, I'm gonna steal that. So here you are, I stole it. You know, like you have to look for inspiration in all sorts of places. You have to keep your eyes open. And that's how you start forming ideas that then you can use to be opposite of what you're doing. I happen to think you should steal from me. If you go to nikkielbaz.com, you could sign up for my emails. You could steal from my emails on Mass Market. You could steal from emails there too. And I'm really excited for your questions because I know this is like a crazy topic. So yeah, let's go.
A quick question just about stealing. So Drift had something where they put up a 10 email campaign, like this is our onboarding sequence. Maybe it was Intercom. And then people just started stealing it and copying it. Do you think the effectiveness of your emails goes up when people do that or down?
So it's interesting because like actually, like you're saying Drift's effectiveness or other people's effectiveness?
Drift, I guess. As a lot of people have the same content, does it make it so people recognize that it works and they want to click on it more? Or do you devalue your email campaign when other people share it?
It's a really good question, especially because you will get people who will just steal it instead of using it as a springboard for inspiration and doing something else. So it does take a lot of guts to do that. And also, like, there will be people that see theirs first, other people's first, and then see Drifts and thinking that Drift is, you know, copying from that. So it's definitely a risk. On the other hand, risks could be good things. You know, if they are the first, and I think it also comes from this mindset of like, there's enough out there, like maybe our paths won't cross enough, people aren't paying enough attention, just coming from like, yeah, let's share, let's be open. So I would say you can do that if you are keeping tabs on things, you know, who's copying you and kind of like taking a look at your rates. I would also say that your metrics, sorry, not your rates. I mean, they are rates, but I would also say that probably anyway, you should be redoing your onboarding sequence every so often. So it's not such a risk because you can redo it at some point.
Gotcha. That was a great answer. And your answer is kind of a little bit of both. Yes, also at your own touch, so it's not that big a risk. I think it's crazy, and if I got an email like that, I would love it because you're calling so many people out. I think the biggest fear that people have is what you said is the high unsubscribe rate. Do you have a reaction to that rate? Like if those people unsubscribe and they were never going to buy anyway or something like that? Or what do you use to justify being okay with an unsubscribe rate that high?
So we actually did have one person that responded and they said, you have a great product, but your emails are terrible. I'm unsubscribing. So listen, whenever you do anything that's risky, you're going to be, you know, losing people. The flip side of it, and there were team members also, by the way, who were like, we can't, like, this is killing our brand. We can't do this. Look at all these people that now don't like us. So you just have to be okay with that, with knowing that good results come from polarizing people. Not always, but usually. When you make everyone happy, then you're safe and you're boring and people don't like boring. So you don't have to be crazy tone. I had a bunch more examples and I'm like, 10 minutes, cut them down. But I wanted to show that you don't have to be crazy with your tone to do something that's different. Like you could just kind of do interesting things that are twists on what are done without being really like, you know, in your face or negative or quirky. Like you don't have to do that to break best practices. So does that answer your question?
Totally answers my question.
So awesome. We had Adam Morgan on last Friday. He's like an executive creative director from Adobe. Now, I'm gonna take his perspective. I don't know if I totally believe it, but I'm gonna take his perspective and ask you a question from his perspective.
Okay.
Concept was you got the pattern interrupt, right? You have the anomaly in this email. You're 4 emails in. You're at the 5th email. So this is key too, because I want to say that I've tried hacks like this before, pure pattern interrupt anomalies, high open rate, high unsubscribe, but I was usually trying to do that when I was starting a relationship too. So there might be something there about starting the relationship. I'll get to the question in a second. So Adam Morgan goes in and says, hey, if you want your brand, kind of like the naysayers, if you want your brand and have people open the wallet and buy something from your brand in terms of like health and wealth, you need to stay positive the whole entire time, because you'll get clicks if you go negative. I'm kind of surmising some of the stuff he said. You'll get clicks if you get in a pattern interrupt, an anomaly, but people may not open their wallet if you go negative, right? So I guess my two questions were, I would love to hear the numbers again now that I know the email on that fifth email. And would you do it again? And do you feel that because it was later down the sequence, like you were able to do that? Or do you think that you could kind of pull this off at the beginning, or just be like too crazy? So I have three questions. I want to hear the numbers again that you had described. Do you think it was because it was the fifth email in the sequence? And what do you say to the naysayers that are saying you should never go negative?
Okay, good questions. Okay, so in terms of where to put it in the sequence, I think that's a really good point, that the fourth email is typically where you'll see drop off for a lot of companies. And that's interesting. I didn't think about that when I placed it there, but I like it. I think that's smart to do it there. I do think it could work towards the end also, because at that point you're kind of pushing, like, are you in this or not? So we have this relationship, I don't want to ruin it, but on the other hand, are you actually in the relationship and willing to take this move? Or are you just here and kind of like not ready to commit? Like, I don't want that. Like, so it could really work to do it at the end also. So I would say it works everywhere. But yeah, you need to have a theory of why you're doing it. Yes.
But when I've tested this, and I feel like it doesn't work at the beginning of a cold interaction. So from I've tried these types of hacks before, hacking in the subject line, putting like potentially like a calendar event. You're booked for this calendar event, and then you're like selling your product in the email, like when you make it like, yeah. So crazy high open rates, crazy high engagement, unsubscribe. So these like hacky things. I don't want to call it hacky. It's a pattern interrupter trying to get people out of their normal interaction. So it's a little bit of a cognitive hack, but I saw it really fail really bad at the beginning. Do you think you would ever put something like this at the beginning? It seems to me that you just told me you would put it in the middle, kind of when you got a drop off, or at the end of like, hey, what are we going to do here?
So I would actually be careful with those kinds of things across the board, because they could come across as clickbaity, and I think you lose people when you lose that trust. So that email specifically, towards the end, we got more positive. And it wasn't like a trick, like they knew it wasn't actually time emailing them. You know, we actually had a different email in the sequence that I did do a like reply. Not to be tricky, like I really did not intend that. It was basically the whole idea of the email was about email chains and how you get these subject lines like re. So we ended up scrapping that email because it was too clickbaity for people. People got frustrated and were like, because it was like our meeting on Monday, and they're like, what meeting? And it was confusing for people. It was clickbaity for people. So we rewrote that subject line. So you want to make sure that you're not breaking their trust. You can do things that get their attention, but then you need to follow through, like right past it. So at the beginning of the relationship, I actually did write a cold email sequence that did this sort of thing that was like, whoa, what did you just email me? And I really want to see the results on that. We didn't get the results yet. But yeah, it kind of has to work with your theory. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, is it just to get attention? Is it to prove a point? Is it like, where should it be? Like, that should help dictate where it should be.
And what was the numbers again? You said it was a 64 increase.
Yes.
And you test that against another email in the sequence at that stage?
So that was actually for the whole campaign. I don't remember what that email specifically was. And also we tested, that was like for a pro upgrade, and the standard upgrade, I don't know if you could really compare because it was the same emails. That one went, I think that was like a 24% increase. So maybe people just like the offer better of the pro one versus the standard one. So yeah, I think it was a 44% increase in unsubscribes, but I don't remember. Just like pretty intense.
We have a question from the audience. So Ruthie asked, Ruthie would love to know what you consider the most important thing a business can do to start email marketing. What is your top tip for the entrepreneur just getting started?
Read more emails. Seriously, I think that is the best way to learn, is to just read. And that's number one. I'm going to give you 2 tips, is to just write. Like, it's okay. You'll make mistakes. I sent out a campaign this week that had so many typos. I am embarrassed. Terrible. I sent them out at like 2 a.m. It was bad. Like, you will make mistakes, and some people will hate you for it, and some people will love you for it. And you just have to, like, that's the only way to do it, is to like immerse yourself in the world of email and what your customers are seeing, and to just practice and try it and do it again and again and again.
What do you think sends out the best email campaigns? Do you subscribe to 5 or 6 companies and just look at everything that comes by?
5 or 6, I have like 500.
And then a follow-up question to that would be, how do you prioritize and make the time to actually even be able to look at those? Because I've done it where I have 30 new coming every day, and after a month I'm like, I can't even handle you, like, unsubscribe.
Yes. Okay. So a couple things. A lot of people say to like have a separate email address where, you could go in and look at those emails. That never worked for me. I never went in and looked at those emails. So what I do is they do come into my inbox, and it depends. Basically, I have an assistant who deals with the actual emails. If you don't do that, you could do promotions. I find that you will sort of look into the promotions when it's the same inbox versus like a whole nother email. But I just subscribe to everything and anything that sounds interesting. And the really, really cool part of that is that you start seeing what you're interested in. Like, if I'm not reading them, then it means that they didn't do a good job for me. It's not a good subject line. It's not interesting for me. And like, I'll unsubscribe from some if after a while I'm not reading any of them. But it's a really great way to see like what's working and what's not working. Like, they were good enough to capture my interest. When I have 40 emails that came in the past 3 hours, that was a good email. I should be taking notes on what happened there.
Do you save all of those great emails in a dictionary that you go back and you look through, or do you save chunks of them? How do you make it so that they're actionable a month later when you're like, oh, I remember that was a really good one, but there's 500 between now and then. How do I grab that one line?
Yeah, so I'll put them in folders with a title of like what type of email they are. So I'll have a folder for cold emails. I'll have a folder for, trial to upgrade, like whatever type of email it is. And then sometimes I'll like cross folder them. I just made up the verb, to, like if it was an interesting, like what the interesting element was. So let's say like objection smashing, or, pain agitation solution. So just kind of whenever I'm like, I need inspiration, I can go in there. But honestly, I do not go into my folders often enough. It's really about just having them like percolating in your head. And it just like comes out when you're showering, when you're, awake at 3 a.m. Like, it just happens when you do the work of reading a million emails a day.
That's awesome. I did the same thing. I have like certain emails that I'll forward to the team, but like recently the email's just been out of control. So top 3 people that you follow. I know you get all these emails, but who's your mentor? Who's your guru? Who do you go for if you need copy email hack inspiration? I call it email hacks because I'm a hacker and I always call everything a hack, but it's just strategy. It's just a recipe. So top 1 to 3 people that you follow that you get inspiration from.
Okay.
Blogs of brands.
Yeah. Ramit Sethi's emails, I love them. Like, there's so many good things about them. Like, it's a course to take his emails. His emails are great. They're just great. Kristen LaFrance, writes really, she's so interesting. She's doing like the coolest stuff ever. And she experiments in such fun ways. Like she will change her sign off to like this funky name, like Crispy La England, you know, so that like she's like, I want to get responses, and I want to see like, are people actually reading my emails? Like I don't trust the metrics to tell me. Like I want to start conversations. So she'll do all sorts of like interesting things like that. So first of all, she talks about retention and, you know, customer relationships and stuff like that. So it's just interesting stuff that she's writing about. And then, yeah, she has this like really interesting sense of experimentation that I think is really awesome. Third company, I mean, I think I have to say Copy Hackers, right? Like, yeah, I work for them, but like, they're awesome when it comes to copy. So I see in the chat Ramit Seder. It's Ramit Sethi, Ramitsethi.
Awesome.
Okay, so cool. One of the final questions I always love to ask is, what was the campaign that you ran that you had like your heartstrings on? You're like, oh my God, this is going to be like the greatest campaign ever, that fell flat? Or the opposite, something that you didn't think that would work and it would just like had amazing results?
Okay, so I actually just wrote a huge blog post about this, just kind of like therapy, honestly. So I actually homeschool my kids. So when Corona hit and everybody has their kids at home, I was like, hey, this is interesting. Maybe I should like do a little course to, you know, teach people how to be at home with their kids all day, how to work with their kids all day, and all that kind of thing. So I ran this. I'll send you the link. So I ran this launch, and I like pulled out all the stops. I did advertising. I wrote all these different emails and everything and all that. And there were so many tech issues and so many. It was such a tight time frame. I'm like, I have to do this now. People are stressing out now. You know, we don't know how long this is going to be. I have to do this now. So as I was writing the emails, I was like forgetting to put myself in the customer's shoes and to really understand how I can help them. And just kind of like, you need this, like every social thing that I was on was talking, you know, parents were just like stressing out. So I didn't think I needed to sell it, because I was like, they know they need it already. I'll just tell them I exist. And like, that's like newbie mistake, like cardinal sin, like you need to sell yourself. And I totally didn't. And I was like, ah. So it was like a total failure. It wasn't a total failure. I got 30 people. They love it. But I was like going for the moon. Like I was like, the whole world can use this, right? So many learnings from it, like so many learnings. So that was a really cool experience and really interesting. So, yeah.
You said you need to sell yourself and you didn't. What's the one thing that you would change if you could do that again to sell yourself?
Yeah, just being more, like painting the picture more of where they are now and where I can get them, versus just, you know, saying like, hi, I exist. You have this problem, I have this solution. More like getting more tangible about what that actually means. So, yeah. And also not rushing as much, which is tricky because I really thought I needed to rush. But I think you need to give ideas time, and, you know, haste makes waste. I rushed, but it didn't do anything. So, yeah.
You get your best idea when you write a campaign. 2 days later at 1 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and you change your whole campaign because it was the wrong thing to do.
Yes.
Where is the best place where people want to hear more of your content, reach out to you, ask questions? Where should they go? Where can they find you?
I am on Twitter and LinkedIn, but honestly, getting on my email list is the best place to actually get in touch with me. You'll actually get content. And then, you know, if you respond, I'll reply to you. So yeah, NikkiElbaz.com.
Okay, get on the emails. And which folder should they put you in?
Best Skype ever.
Awesome. Nikki, this has been great. I love all of your examples. I want to read that email. It almost sounds like poetry or broetry or just like a novel. Fun. Thank you so much for coming on Masters Marketing. Thank you for everyone who's come, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you for having me.